welcome. Good afternoon. My name is Natalie Clark. Some of you know me, some of you do not. You're going to find out a little bit more about me as we are a few slides in. But today I am presenting your session, Building Blocks for Social Media Success, 10 Steps to Grow Your Pediatric Practice. As we go through, if you come across any questions, if you really have a burning desire to raise that hand, shout those questions out, let us know. I think, Ali, are you keeping an eye on the chat on the virtual session in case we've got anything? So if you are watching virtually, type in those questions. If you want to save anything until the end, you are more than welcome to, and we'll hopefully, fingers crossed, it always goes on time. We'll have some questions at the end too. So I'm going to start off not with the tips just yet, not with the tips and tricks just yet, just a little bit of information. So why social media? Why are you bothering to show up today? Why are we talking about social media within pediatric practices? As an extra, I do have all of these referenced at the end of the slide. So if you did need to go and read anything fully, then you can do that another time. And for those who are at the back, and even I'm like squinting a little bit here, more than 80% of US state health departments have social media accounts. If anything, at the moment you are seeing that a lot on social media. AAP, social media account, Healthy Children, social media account. 72% of Americans, including 90% of teenagers, whether we like that figure or not, are engaging in social media right now. It was found that more than half of millennials, so 54%, and more than 4 out of 10, so 42% of adults, are or would like to be friends with or follow their healthcare providers on social media. Now, we know about friendships on social media, maybe not, but following, yes, we will see the value in that soon. 82.2% of parents reported using social media for health information for their child. 82.2. And again, I'm going to go through some of that and some reasoning behind that as we go. And then studies have revealed that 8 in 10 internet users go online for health information, and more than half of these people get their medical information specifically from social media. I included that one because we are, as we look into our audience, and again, I'm going to explain a little bit more here about that in just a second. Social media and Google are now very interchangeable depending which generation you are. So, at the end of this session, you will be able to adopt social media skills to benefit your practice, understand why a strong social media presence is important for your pediatric practice, and oversee the correct usage and creation of social media content. So we're going to get straight into these tips. I have 10 tips or tricks for you today. Some have more explanation than others, and this one is a little bit of a longer one. So we're starting out with number 1. This is to know your audience. You may see some familiar graphics up there. We have Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter that turned into X a couple of years ago. Threads has been new recently, Blue Sky. I have the question mark over TikTok because just in the last 12 months or so, we've not really been sure where it's sitting. It's closed, it completely disappeared for a full day, one day, and then came back like 2 days later. So we're looking at our audience. Now, your audience on here, on our social media platforms, is going to be slightly different regardless of where you are putting your content. So if, for example, we are looking at Pinterest. Pinterest is one of those platforms where we look for recipes and home decor ideas and all of the decor. I want to say, what's the word I am looking for? It's just like a nice, homely, comfortable place for parents to find things home-based, not necessarily medical information. Now, are our parents on Threads? Yeah, they are. Are they on Snapchat? Maybe not. Now, some of your parents will be. I put these up as an example because I want to highlight the 2 main and the 2 most valuable and reliable social media platforms. That's Instagram over on that top left and Facebook. So if you are focusing on anything today, start with one of those if you have not got anything already. If you have one and not the other, they are owned by the same company and it's really easy to link them, and I'll talk about that later again. So this is me. I moved to America in 2014 with my husband. My educational background is actually in elementary education. I was a primary school teacher in England. For almost 5 years, I headed up 2 departments, physical education and literacy. I was the senior leader. I was also a very random journalist for dirt bike racing back in England, very random. Even more random, I worked in retail for a few years on and off over the last 15 years as a bra fitter. So if anybody needs a lingerie advice, I can do that too. However, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. I have written online sewing publications for a Danish sewing magazine. I've owned an online fabric store. I'm a personal trainer. I do social media management, and if you have heard of Women in Pediatrics and Pediatric CEO, I also do event management and operations for those 2 events. Now, I tell you all this because I'm thinking about audiences. Throughout my life, I have had a marketing role of some sort, and when we are looking at our audience, we have to think, where are they? Who are they? What are they looking at? Where are they meeting us to take that information? So for example, when I was writing race reports for these dirt bike magazines, I was writing very, very different things to when I was a primary leader in education and I'm talking to parents about how to teach their kids to read. Those 2 audiences are very different, as is a pediatric audience. Now we may think, well, easy, I'm just going to talk and look at my parents and see who they are, see where they are, and that's exactly what you want to do. You want to know who your audience is, where are they, what do they want to see from you, and what graphic style do they need or do you need. So it's easy for us as educated adults to write a caption or something to put out online that is of a higher reading ability. And it's easy to assume that everybody else reads that way. And as parents, you know that the parents in your practice may not be able to meet you at that stage. So when we are posting on social media, we have to keep that in mind. Social media is easy to read, it's quick, it's simple. We don't need to expand on huge articles that make a 4, 5, 6 paragraph post in there, because quite honestly, your parents don't have time or they may not read it at all. So we have to think simple. Where are they? Are they sat on the sofa? Are they scrolling at home? Are they scrolling social media as they're picking their kids up in car line? Are they reading social media over breakfast before they hit their job, their corporate job? So again, that just really integrates the fact that we don't have much time with whoever is reading your social post. So again, short, snappy, really quick to read. We don't want paragraphs and paragraphs. What do they want to see from you, and what graphic style do you need? Now, this may be specific to area, it may be specific to demographic, but generally our parents are not cartoony people. They want to see a good graphic or a good post that will attract them directly, and it doesn't, I hate saying dumb down their age or dumb down their reading level, but if you were to create a graphic for a 7-year-old about lice and create a graphic for a 40-year-old about lice, they're going to be looking different. They're going to be 2 different graphics. We still want something that's eye-catching in both. We still want something that proves a point or gets to the point very quickly, but we don't want to be too cartoony about things, especially when we're talking about medical information to parents. So this brings me to number 2. I want you to, first of all, before I tell you to get your phones out, put your hand up if you do actually have practiced social media. Just raise your hand if you do have it. Good, good. I was hoping to see a sea of hands. Grab your phone and just get it out for me. Load up your social media page. I want you to just quickly have a look at your frequency of posting and your holiday to medical ratio. And what that means is, did you post, if your last 2 posts maybe are Happy 4th of July and Happy Memorial Day, and we don't have any medical information in there, then we're going to talk about that. Who did post medical content this last week? Good. But look around. I'm in a room full of pediatric leaders, and we have less than 5 people who posted medical content on their social media accounts. And this is the importance of social media. If people are coming to your page to look for information about you, they're going to know that you wish them a happy 4th of July, but are they going to want to also know some other things? So, when we look at this one, and I made this slide a while ago, and I blurred out 2 of the pictures that were very specific to the practice. I can't even remember whose practice this is. It just took me a quick Google search in a city to find a pediatric practice that on the last 15 posts had 3 Christmas posts. So this is 15 social media posts, 15 graphics that have been put out on a pediatric practice social media over the last 3 years. There's 0 medical content on there. It's Thanksgiving, it's Happy Christmas, we have something for Remembrance Day, out of the office. So what do your parents think when they look at that? What do your patient families think when they look at that? Probably that you are not a leader in child medicine. You're very good at wishing everybody happy Christmas, but not at communicating your medical information. So we want to create content that is useful for your practice, because that's where you want to build relationships. Now, when I speak and when I talk and when I speak to pediatricians about the content, and they say, well, why do we even want to build relationships on social media? And I want to go back to those initial readings that I read out, those studies and those findings. People are there, whether we like it or not. Dr. Chung said earlier that as our newer generations are emerging, the trust in doctors is decreasing. So we have to, again, meet patient families where they are. If they are scrolling on social media and they are seeing your posts 3-4 times a week, you are in their mind. Now, they might not see a post about a vaccine clinic and think, yes, I'm going to call them straight away and get in. They may not see a post about sunburn, at-home care for sunburn, or when to contact the doctor about sunburn, but they're going to know that you are giving out accurate, relevant, important information, and it's where they are. You're always the top of their mind. So if anybody does say, like, hey, do you need, I need a referral for a pediatrician right now. Well, actually, I just saw them post about sunburn, so I'm going to refer them because they're top of the mind, they're relevant, they stay up to date, they are current with everything. If a parent is looking for a new doctor, and they have 2 pediatric practices to compare, and they found both of those on a mom's group on Facebook. So they look at their Facebook page. If you have not posted for 6 months, but the other practice is posting 4 times a week, whether that is medical content, whether it's videos, whether it's information about the medical home, who are they more likely to steer towards? It's the one that's posting more content. It's the practice that is staying relevant. So, when we talk about our content library, I've split this up into 4 sections. So, our content library is just like your website, but only for those other generations. We have it now where our younger generations, our younger parent families will go to social media for their content, for their information, and we want to make sure that the library of information that you have on there is easy to navigate, is a range of information, and is reflecting of your practice. So if you have had a look at your values and your value, I'm going to stick at values for now. If you've looked at your values recently for the practice and you know that you want to communicate a specific idea or message to parent families, that's what your content library needs to reflect. So we're going to start with what these are. So static posts. Static posts are your still images. They recently changed the sizing. We used to be pretty good with a square image, but now Facebook and Instagram are actually trimming those images slightly. So it's better now to go with a vertical one. I didn't write the sizes on here, but I can tell you after if you specifically need that size. They are the posts that somebody can easily come back to. They can easily look at a graphic and know exactly what that graphic is about. So I gave the example earlier of sunburn, and I'm going to show you some more examples in a second of what this looks like when it's all together. But if you have a picture of a child with sunburn, your logo, and it says what to do if your child has a sunburn, if somebody is scrolling through your content, scrolling through your Instagram page, they know that if they need more information about that, they can click on that post and they can read the caption, which will direct them back to your practice. Now, we also put video content on there, and whenever I mention video content, I often get a collective moan from doctors in the room. Does anybody actively put video content regularly on their feeds at the moment? Good job, good. And we know video content is really being pushed at the moment. The algorithms push video content out, but ultimately it all depends on whether you actually want to spend time making that content or you don't. I speak with so many people who are just like, well, I just don't want to get in front of a video. It's not my jam, I don't like it. And that's fine. If that's where you sit with everything, nobody is going to force you to make video content to put on social media if you don't want to. However, if you did want to start, if you did want to get some content out there, it's so easy. Nothing these days has to be a huge production. You can prop your phone up on your water bottle on your desk, sit at your chair and talk about ear infections for 2 minutes, post it to social media. Just varying the content alongside those static posts will give your Facebook pages and your Instagram pages a boost of engagement that they need. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of people. Some of you may know these or not. I love Alabama Kid Doc, who is Dr. Nola Ernest. I'm sure that that's her handle. I may have got that wrong, so if I may need to come back and comment on in Hoover, and I may even link these people. She sits in her car, and she is the pediatrician in the parking lot. She just faces the camera to her. She's in her car. She talks about what she has seen this week. She'll pick one topic. She does 30 seconds to 60 seconds of content, posts that, and it gets hundreds of views. One of my favorite ones is a practice out of Texas, Dr. Laura from All Star Pediatrics, I believe. Again, I'm going to check that and link it. She does a selfie version wherever she is in the world. So, and I know this because she has been to our Women in Pediatrics retreats, and she has still kept recording her content while we were in Puerto Rico. So she might be on her front porch, she might be at her office porch, she might be in Puerto Rico, but she just gets on camera and she says, hey, this is what we've seen this week. We have seen X number of cases of COVID, we've tested X number of people for this, X number of people for that, and she just posts it. Those simple, unproduced videos get thousands of people in her area watching those videos. Not just 10, not just 20, and I'm sure that if I loaded her TikTok up right now, she goes into the hundreds of thousands. And generally, all of the comments on her videos are very positive. Yeah, we've seen this going around in school this week. Thanks for sharing that information. Good to know, good to look out for. So it's a good interaction, it's good video content that is just easy to share. So I then go into shared content. So shared content is something that's slightly different and something that I do encourage everybody to do maybe once or twice a week. So this could be something in your community, or it could be a business that you align with, or maybe even a nonprofit that you align with. You go over to their page, you that maybe they're having an event. Maybe it's an article from Healthy Children. You click and you just share that to your own page. You're not creating the content there, but you are sharing it as a valuable resource to your parent families. We then have relatable content, and this is where pediatricians and pediatric practices do a great job of relatable content. The happy 4th of July posts, the happy birthday posts, the office work anniversary posts. They're all great because they still get engagement. And I don't want to say don't do those, because it's an integral part of your content library to fit those in and to mix those in, because any photo or anything that goes on your page with somebody who works from your office will ultimately get you many more views than some of the static content that you post. It's just how it is. It's how humans are designed to connect face to face with other people. So if you've posted your front desk manager's birthday and it may have got 50 likes on there and 20 comments, that is still great for your page, because it means that people are visiting it, they're seeing it, and when you go back and you share those static posts, that medical information, it is being pushed out there, and it's being pushed to all of the people who liked that relatable content. So 4 things there. They're the 4 things that I want you to work on. If you are doing one of those, just pick one other to try. If you're doing 2 of those, choose a different one. If you're not doing any of them, just choose one. Don't go it all in at once. Try to focus. So when we look at all of those 4 categories, we then have some extra information that we want to see on your page. We want medical home posts. Anything that you post that links to your medical home is designed to increase the health of your practice. These are posts like hours of operation, new patient protocol, wellness visits, newsletter sign-ups. Maybe it's guidance on how to use your patient portal. Maybe it's how we just had a good one go out this last month of why you should call your doctor for sick visits first rather than going straight to the emergency room or urgent care. So anything that is going to boost the health of your practice needs to be up there. We then have seasonal content. Now, I know I keep referring to the 4th of July because we're still in July and it's just very relevant. We've just put out some posts like this. So we still want to create seasonal content. We still want to wish everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy Hanukkah. But maybe we can link that seasonal content to medical awareness and illness and information. So if we are talking about the 4th of July, maybe we can talk about fireworks safety. Maybe we can talk about water safety if you're at a pool party. Maybe we can talk about food safety for if you have littles and they have access to a buffet that's been outside for 5 hours. So we can still look at seasonal content, but we want to always link it back to something that you do, something that you are knowledgeable in that nobody else is. If you go on social media on the 4th of July or the week leading up and the week after, you're going to see many generic posts. So be different. Have a think about how you can make those Christmas or Thanksgiving posts really relevant to your pediatric practice. And then we want informative content to parents and caregivers. So I'd like to talk about this in two different categories again. Things that come up in wellness visits, things that come up in sick visits. So if you have a wellness visit post, maybe you have a post one week about maternal anxiety, or maybe you then have a post about newborn and how their sleep schedules are. These are things that come up in your wellness visits. And then if we go over to sick visits, what things are common questions? What do parents ask you? So if you are stuck for content, get your doctors or your nurses or anybody who is doing those appointments to write down a few questions of the week. They don't have to be personal questions. We're not asking for personal information here. It might be like, oh, how do I know if it's a single ear infection, or what's the difference in a cold symptom and a flu symptom? Like, what are we looking at there? So questions that come up in your sick visits, get your providers to write them down, because if you write a list of 10 questions in a week, that could be 10 static social media posts. That could be 10 videos that you go on there and answer. This is not, we're not creating completely new things, bless you. We're not creating, we're just reinventing the wheel, we're spinning that wheel. If you have just been in an appointment or a well visit with a child and you have talked about one topic, quickly go to the office on your lunch break, and if it's fresh in your head, record a 30-second video. So if it's something that's fresh in your head, just repeat it. Okay, somebody may notice this one, and I like this example. This is a good example. This was from Christmas, and I know it's quite small, but this is 18 posts, and you can see that we still have Christmas hours, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, New Year's Eve. However, we've also got tips to protect your baby from germs at holiday gatherings. We've got gift giving for kids at Christmas. We've got that relatable content where the Grinch came in and took photos with the staff. We've got, I'm worried my child may be binge eating. So again, we've got some actual medical content in there. You have talking to boys about puberty, National Thyroid Awareness Month. So again, seasonal content, but we've made it medical. We've made it appropriate to your audience. We've made it accessible to your audience. And if you look at this, if you were looking at this on a screen, or if you needed to find information out about one of these topics, you could easily scroll through and you know that this post is about gift giving for kids. We've not crammed 300 words on this graphic for you to zoom in and read. We also have to remember when we are creating graphics and creating social media posts that now all of our phones are a different size. We've only gone over like 3 years of iPhones, and the size difference in screens can be this to almost this, like bigger than my hand. So you may be able to see a graphic really well on your desktop if you're scrolling on your desktop or making that graphic in Canva on your desktop. If somebody's looking at it on a smaller phone, they might not be able to see that graphic. So we want clear, simple graphics that are straight to the point. And we know that if people want more information, they're going to click on one of these graphics and it will have that extra information on there. Okay, number 4, include a clear CTA that leads back to your practice. What is a CTA? It is a call to action. Now, I have emphasized back to your practice because quite often when we are analyzing and reviewing pediatric social media accounts, people are sharing posts that are from the AAP or Healthy Children, which are great posts. We still want that shared content on there, but that's every post. And we don't want all of that. We still want to share it because it's important and it's valuable content. But ultimately, when you are sharing something from somebody else on your page, you are pushing them out from your page. So if we are linking to Healthy Children, that's still, like I said, great content. We still want that. It's a very good resource. But could you add a caption in there that says, we're sharing this information with you. If you have any more questions about XYZ, call our phone nurse on this number. We always want to make sure that whatever your followers are reading link back to you. You don't have them for long. You don't have them for long at all. We talked about where you're meeting them. You're meeting them on the sofa, in the car, quickly at car line. We're thinking lunch break. They're scrolling social media. You don't have them for long. So if they are taking the time to read your post and you're saying, check out this article over here, then why aren't we linking it to your website? Why aren't we linking it to a resource that you have? Why aren't we linking it to calling the office for further information or to make an appointment? So just some examples of that. Call us, make an appointment, use your patient portal, follow along, sign up for our newsletter, read our blog, talk to your provider. If you have a blog, and I probably know that many of you do, there are a couple of services out there that create websites and have comprehensive blogs and articles on there. If you are talking about mental health in teenagers, you will likely have a blog about mental health in teenagers, so link it over. Copy and paste your link. Don't refer them somewhere else to read about it when you have the information at your fingertips. So I'm going to give you an example here. So this is just a simple post. We know what this is about. It's about flu season. And I like this post because it's simple, it's to the point. We have a logo on there and we have the website on the post. Now, and I know that it's smaller writing, but I'm going to read it out to you just so you can see how we formed this. So, information about flu season, it's more important than ever to ensure your child is protected. We go on to look at the common signs of the flu. If your child starts showing symptoms, it's important to monitor their condition and seek medical advice early. Our team is here to provide guidance, answer questions, and help you navigate flu season. If you or your child needs a flu vaccination, please contact our office today to schedule an appointment. Now, if you looked at that, you wouldn't necessarily know that we were going to talk about flu vaccinations, right? We're just talking about flu season. We've given our parents some important information. We've given them some common signs. We've given them good hygiene practices, frequent hand washing, covering coughs. But if your child starts showing symptoms, monitor them. And then if they need a flu vaccination, you have your phone number and there's the website there. So we've been clear, we've been concise, you've got everything across in one small post. It's not 6 paragraphs of information that link over to various studies about why kids need flu vaccinations, because we don't need that in the social media post right now. Okay. So own your expertise and know your competition. It's not who you think it is. Who do you think your competition might be? Anybody? Yes! There we go. It's not your pediatrician in the next town over, or it's not the pediatrician in your town, because they are doing exactly what you are doing. It is the wellness influencers. It is people online who are saying, you don't need to go to the doctor, do this at home instead. This is the importance of showing up on social media, because if people are scrolling and seeing all of that, the information that is not accurate, that is persuading them to do other things, you want to counteract that with correct medical advice, correct information that establishes you as the expert. You are doctors, you've gone to school for this, you are leading an amazing pediatric practice with kids who want to come and see you, with families who sing your praises. Make sure that your social media pages reflect that. We want to make sure that they are positive, that you are putting out accurate information. So, remember, your providers are the health experts. Present information that aligns with AAP guidelines. We also like to talk about healthy children and bright futures. So just make sure that any information that you put out there is accurate. We don't want to invite anybody in, especially at the moment, to be naysayers or to comment things that are just going to not be that great. So as long as you present factual, correct information, you are good to go for your social media posts. You are establishing that relationship, establishing a knowledgeable relationship with any of your followers. Okay, next one, be consistent. Find a schedule that works for you and stick to it. We spoke about this earlier a little bit when we did our show of hands about medical content this week. But when we look at a schedule, I always say 3 times a week is a good rhythm to get into, just to keep some kind of posting on there. The good thing about social media is if you are consistent, and I'm going to mention analytics in a second, so just hold me on that thought, but if you are consistent, the algorithm will make sure that your content is getting in front of the people who follow you. Now, if you post every day for a week and then have a 6-month hiatus, the algorithm, the social media platforms won't know where to put your content. So it's really important that you stick to a schedule. Now, it does not have to be 3 times a week. If you are at 0, if you are at your base right now, maybe you could just start with 1 post per week. Maybe you make 1 post and maybe you share 1 post from somebody in the community or online somewhere. Make sure that you stick to it. to see results, we want to post consistently for at least 6 to 9 months, maybe even longer. Again, quite often I get asked a question, well, we've posted every day for 3 weeks or 3 times a week for 3 weeks and nobody is liking our post and I'm just going to stop now. Well, that's not how social media works. We have to be consistent over time. You have to show up. Now, if your website views went down, you wouldn't just not update your website, right? If your phone number changed, you'd still update your phone number. And that's the thing. We're still looking at the website, but your social media pages almost are your library and your content library and your website for those younger generations. Number 7, this is one I love to talk about. It's using brand standards. So what do we mean by brand standards? It's your logo, your color palette, your fonts, your digital and print templates. So if you take your logo will be made up of 3 or 4, maybe 5 colors. That logo should form your color palette for your website, for your social media, for any printed materials. If you use a particular font on your website, you can use the same font in those graphics, in anything that you print out for the office. Everything should be seamless. And I say that so that if we took your logo off and you showed a post to your followers, they would know who that post is from based on the colors, the content, and the font usage. So we want consistency across the board. And this is one, again, if you have the slides to zoom into on Hoover or at a later time, whenever, zoom into this page and have a look at it. Because on a page of 12, we extracted this screenshot from Instagram. She has maybe 4 main colors that are used: teal, green, a navy blue, and sometimes there's a dark green in there. Yep, top right. It's the same font throughout, and we have a slight variation in logo. There's a circular logo, and then there's the traditional horizontal stacked logo. So everything is familiar, it's consistent, and again, it establishes you as the expert. And I always think back to a practice and when I was explaining the method behind the brand guidelines to, and I like to give this as an example. If you are, and this is a real true story, if you are using 5 different logos throughout your media, so I had a social media analysis that we did, Facebook, Instagram, website, and printed materials that they had taken a photo of and put it on their Facebook, had 4 different logos. Nothing was consistent. So if I see your printed material out somewhere, maybe you're having a fall festival and I see that, or maybe you're having a vaccination clinic and I see that printed material, I want to know it's you. I don't want to think that it's another practice. It can't be your practice because that's a different logo. We want to make sure that everything is in alignment, fonts are the same, colors are aligned, everything looks clean and neat. Then if you are contacted by a local PR firm to do an ad, you can just send them that information. Here are my colors, here is my logo, here are the fonts that I use, and they'll be able to create your ad or your social media post or anything to do with your practice in your brand voice. Okay, so number 8, we're getting there. We're close to, we've still got some time, and I'm going to allow some time for questions. So I have 2 free softwares that you should be using, and I had talked about that with somebody this morning. Facebook Business Suite is where you host your practice's Facebook page. On the back end of the Business Suite, if you go on that left-hand side there, there's a section that just says Planner. If you click on Planner, it will allow you to schedule your posts out for 28 days. So if you have batch created your content, if you have 12 posts that you need to line up, nobody in your office and I'm going to say, even your marketing, if you have a dedicated marketing person in your office, they should not be thinking, oh, it's Wednesday morning, I need to post a social post. Oh, it's Friday morning, I've got to post on social now. Because we can batch schedule it. Facebook Scheduler is free, but it does only allow you to do it for the following 28 days. If you do need a recommendation for a scheduler that allows you to go longer term, I recommend one that's called Metricool, Metricool. That can let you, I think it schedules up to 90 days out. So if you have a good session of recording videos and recording content or making graphics, then you can just get it done every quarter and schedule it out. You could schedule half a morning, just a couple of hours to make some graphics, schedule them out. It does not have to be something that you need to revisit 3 or 4 times a week. And then Canva. Who does use Canva? Hopefully many of you. Good. Canva is a great resource, online graphic design hub. It's developed so much over the last few years that it really does do everything these days. But you can sign up for free. Now, the free version does come with limitations, so you don't have as much access to stock photos or the font styles that you need. But to be honest, and we are not sponsored to say this, but I think it's like less than $100 for the whole year, and you get unlimited access. You get all of the stock photos. They're commercially licensed, so you can go ahead and use those for everything. You can even save your brand guidelines in there. So if you have logos, fonts, and colors, there's a section in Canva where you can create your brand guidebook. You can add your logos, colors, and fonts in there, or even stock images or images of providers that you have. And then when you're editing those graphics, you can literally just click one button and it will add your colors in there for you. It's so close. So it is free, but I recommend the paid version too. Number 9, engagement measures. And I mentioned analytics slightly earlier. And again, it's one that comes across as a question a lot, that we get a lot of questions about this from our clients, because quite often we see that a post has been posted and maybe it doesn't get any likes, it might not get any comments. And I mean, if you're looking at 5 posts that haven't got likes or comments, you start to think, well, what's the point in us posting that? If it's not getting likes, if it's not getting comments, then why are we even doing it? Because people are in a scrolling culture. Like, I'm sure that we all do it. You sit down and you just scroll. Do we interact with every single post that comes across us on Facebook? We don't. Do we like every single post that comes across your feed on Facebook? No, we don't. And it's the same over on Instagram too. So have a look into your analytics. Again, all of your social media platforms should have analytics sections. On Facebook and Instagram, they're in that Facebook Business Suite. You can see that I extracted this, and the top one had 1 like or reaction, but actually it reached 237 people. So even though it only got 1, we've reached so many more. And I always say this about when somebody is talking about quantifiable numbers in an audience too. If you had 237 parents in the room right now, or patient families in the room right now, and you were telling them the importance of a vaccine, you would feel very, very successful because you have just spoken to 237 people. And that's no different here. Now, they may just read and scroll along, and that's fine, but at least you have stayed the top of knowledge, top of mind, top of thought. Down here we have a second one. So this one is different to this one. It was just a simple one about children getting sick and wanting to join in on family gatherings. The actual post only got 3 interactions, but now we have reach. So it got 257 in the numbers for reach, so that means it's reached 257 people. Views, it got 400, which means that some of these people came back to read it again. So we want to look at these numbers rather than the interaction numbers, or rather than you having a look at your Facebook posts and saying, well, you know, I'm not doing this anymore because nobody has liked my posts for 3 weeks. Go ahead and look in the analytics side of it, because you will see some results. And even if you don't have a large following, if your posts are reaching 30, 40 people on the analytics side, then again, imagine your office full of 30 patient families. Is it worth it to share that information with them? Of course it is. Yes, it is. So we don't want to discount even those lower numbers. Just a couple more to share with you here. And I'm wondering if you can predict the bottom post. So this is from one account. First one had a reach of 168 with 1 like or reaction. The second one had a reach of 166 with 2 likes and reactions and 1 share. The third one is at the lowest out of the 3 with a reach of 165, but it had 13 likes and reactions and 6 comments. Thinking back to your 4 styles of posts, does anybody know what that bottom one may be? Say it louder. No, not quite. It's a static post, a picture post. It was a birthday post. So we have people going through, we have people liking that post, leaving comments. And on the front side of it, that looks like this is doing really well because we've had 13 likes, 6 comments. Oh my goodness, like this is amazing. But actually, if you look at the comparison of those other posts that only got 1 like, then it actually, only slightly, I'm granted it's only a difference of 3, but you have a difference there. So again, look into those engagement measures. What do we do to make sure that your posts are being seen by people? And I do have a resource at the end of the session for you to download or for you to take with you. So if you are posting regularly on social media, I just want you to go through and think about how much of this you currently do. Do you ask your staff to share your posts? Whether it's on their personal page, whether it's in the local mum groups or the local city groups, do they share your posts with friends? If they don't, maybe you should start bringing that up in your weekly team meetings. Like, can everybody just share 1 post from the last month? It doesn't even have to be a weekly task. If every member of staff shared 1 post every month, your reach would grow tenfold. Now, we're not asking them to share about things that are uncomfortable to them. If they don't want to open themselves up to any negative comments, make sure that you are posting a wide range of comments. So if somebody wants to share about what to do when you have a sunburn, let them share about what to do when you have a sunburn. Especially around holidays, if you want to share about how to keep kids safe at family gatherings, that's a great one for your staff to share. There's hardly any controversy in that one, hardly. Share posts directly in other marketing content. So if you share an email to your families, to your email list, are you linking any social media in there? Maybe you can just copy and paste a post from social media and put it in your content, your email content. Some of this can also be taken and printed out around the office. If you have already taken the time to create or pay somebody to create a graphic for you, then use it in other ways. Can you put it in the office? Can you change it out each week in your appointment rooms? Can you just print 4 posts per letter-sized piece of paper and leave 1 on the side for your families to take away and say, hey, this is what we've talked about on social media this week. If you'd like a copy, most likely people are going to take that. So use that content and make it help you. Make it help you share that information. And then look at work phrases into your workflow. So whether this is in appointments or front desk or checkout. I have one client who prints off their full month of content just as like a bullet list and hands it out to all of their providers so that the providers are familiar with what content is being pushed out on social media for that month. And then they know that if somebody is talking about fireworks, like, hey, we've just put a great post out about fireworks safety, you should head over to Facebook to read it. We need to be doing that in just your workflows. You could have a QR code printed at checkout. Here's your check out and can you follow us on social media? All you have to do is ask, and 9 times out of 10 somebody will scan that QR code and they will come over and like your social media page. Some practices that we work with will do this for Google reviews and for followers on social media. Just like $20 Chick-fil-A cards or $20 local ice cream store cards. Do a little raffle for anybody who is a new follower in a month. That doesn't cost a lot. It's not a big spend for you, but the return on investment for followers and increasing that engagement on social media, that's a great idea. Like, just engage with the families that are already in your office. Don't assume that they already follow you on social media. So, final one, number 10. We know that you are too busy to handle a social media calendar, but you also know how important it is. I posted a question in the Hoover app, and it was really interesting. It's always interesting to look through and see who is managing social media accounts. And I always like this little meme over here. Look at all this work I haven't done yet. Because it doesn't matter what your role is in the pediatric practice. You never signed up to do social media posts, right? It's just something that came along, unless you are a marketing lead or you have that specific marketing role. Really, we should not be giving that social media work to your nurse practitioner. I always gasp slightly when somebody tells me that they're a doctor and they are creating their social media posts. That is not the best use of your time. If you are, unless you have a deep-founded passion for creating graphics and social media posts as a doctor, then go for it. But thinking about your time, thinking about how much your time is it worth you spending 2 hours every week creating graphics and writing captions? It's not. So what do? We leave it to the experts. Social media should be managed by somebody who understands social media, but that's none of my business. I like this one too because it was Kermit drinking tea. So who can that be? Marketing companies. You will have local marketing companies. You will have PR companies that are local. Have a look around. Freelance content creators. Maybe there's a patient mom who is working from home but is doing some graphic design work. Maybe you have some social media managers locally that you can get involved. And also, shameless plug for our company, SoMed. We provide pediatric specific content for pediatricians and their practice. So what do you look for when you look for the experts? You look at a portfolio. Can somebody show you good graphics? Can they show you well-written captions? We look for engagement, but like I said, we look for knowledge of engagement, not just, hey, I'm really good at social media because all of these posts got 10 likes. That's not what we look for in engagement. We have to have a look at those analytics and make sure that they're doing something on the back end too. No promises. You should not be going with anybody who says, well, I promise you by the end of the year, I can grow your following by 10,000 followers. Because if anybody says that, they are buying followers for you. It needs to be natural, organic growth, something that just drips in, because you know how big your practice is, you know how big your community is. It shouldn't be really expanding past that too much. Copywriting and caption writing skills, make sure that they are knowledgeable. I always share an example of a client that I was working with, and this is why we founded the SoMed company too. My co-founder, Dr. Skinner, was using a local PR firm, but found that her important pediatric content was being dropped down to an intern who was 16, and whenever we got it back to look at, there were so many mistakes and so many red flags that we need to know that whoever is writing the captions has that knowledge. Whoever is writing the captions has good copywriting knowledge too. So make sure you look at that. And have a look for somebody who uses social media features. I always put this one on with a warning because these are changing constantly. Last week, somebody had really iterated the fact that hashtags aren't being used as much, but then Instagram still have it as a feature on there, so we're still not sure where hashtags are going. Tagging locations, including your website, and all of those social media features. So, I'm rounding it out with 2 QR codes for you. I will say I also have these QR codes printed at the front for you if you wanted to grab a flyer instead. I have a social media template pack. These are just very simple, basic templates, and I believe half of them have captions written with them too. And then I have a second one, which is probably more important. It's our social media engagement guide. This is a handy-dandy guide to give to somebody in your practice who is social media savvy, who wants to take on the role of maybe boosting your engagement. We have a checklist on the last page, and it's something like share your post with a friend, make sure that you are looking at comments, make sure that you are pulling your content over to your emails, things like that. So I'm going to leave those up. Like I said, anything, if you need to look at any of those studies, I have linked them on here so you can go back and read them at your own time. But any questions? We have probably 5 minutes for questions. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you recommend keeping the messaging part of social media on so that people can communicate with you?
Okay, good question. So tell me your name. Eleanor said, is it a good idea to keep the messaging part of social media on so people can communicate with you? You do not really want to encourage communication by social media because it violates HIPAA regulations. So what I do recommend is having a pre-written statement that automatically replies to anybody that messages you, and it just says, due to HIPAA regulations, we cannot contact you or talk to you over social media. Please call the office and give them your number. So, yep. Yes?
I have 2 questions.
Yes, go ahead.
One, do you have any suggestions on targeting pregnant women or expectant parents
Okay.
to get them into your practice, especially, I think all of us being private practices, competing with the local networks.
Yep.
Seem to be grabbing, especially in our area, grabbing all of them. Do you have any recommendations on how to target those people?
I do. I would start by keying into the groups in the community that you can share relevant content with. So maybe there is a new moms group. I know we don't live in a big town. We have like a What's Happening in Fairhope group, a Fairhope Now group, a Fairhope Times group. We have Moms of Fairhope. We have Moms of the County. And that's just a small list of the groups that I know that we have. Make your content, post it on your regular site, so whether it's Facebook or Instagram, and then share that content into those groups. And then you can also contact any of your local partnerships. So maybe you do have a partnership externally with a lactation consultant. Maybe you have a partnership with your birthing center at the hospital. Ask them to be involved. Maybe you get a couple of staff members to make a video with them. Maybe you just tag them in a post like, hey, we're partnering with this, know that we're a referral partner, we love working with these people at the birthing center at the hospital. So think about cross communication. You had a second question.
One was timing of posts.
Mm-hmm.
So I manage our social media.
Yep.
I'm asking these, but I've been told that it's better to post at certain times of the day.
Yep.
For better views.
Yes.
Is there a time of day that's better? What do you recommend?
Think about your patients and your demographic. So if you, just for example, we're talking to parents here, so when are they going to be looking at their phone? It's going to be probably maybe before the kids get up, maybe late at night, and maybe on their lunch break. So I would focus on one of those 3 times. What I will say is on a third-party scheduler like Metricool, and I think there's Hootsuite does it again. I know we use Metricool, and it gives me different colors of like shaded areas for the day. The darker the color means that they have analyzed it and more of my followers are online then. So it may be worth looking into that. Look into your Facebook analytics. It should tell you like an hour of the day when your followers are most active. But again, I'll say on the back of that, keep in mind holidays, keep in mind the summer. Like, you don't want to be posting on a lunch break at summer because all the kids are out of school and parents are probably going to be run ragged. Go for evening or early morning. So, yes.
Could you talk a little bit about stories versus carousels on Instagram?
Yes, of course. So, Instagram has a few variations. So we have static posts, a post that stays still on your feed. A carousel is something that can swipe. I like carousels for two reasons. One, because you can get more information as a visual, because you can add up to, some accounts do 10 posts, some accounts do 20, but they're the ones that you can swipe across. I like them because you can get more on that visual, like I just said. Second reason, a carousel post will appear twice on somebody's feed. So say if you open your phone and I see your carousel post and it's 10 things to keep in your college kids first aid kit, and that is the main first graphic, you'll read that. Now the next time I open my phone, your post will show again, but it will post number 2, your second slide on there. It only does it for 1 and 2. It won't keep showing you all throughout the whole thing, but basically it's double exposure, which is a great thing, but it also means multiple graphics, so it's a toss-up of whether you want to spend more time creating your carousels. Carousels are currently by Instagram being pushed out because it's all shareable information. So we are putting things like 10 things that do this, or 3 things I recommend, and you're swiping along on those. Stories are the ones where it's in a slightly different place. It's on a profile. Story views and watches are increasing. Some people on some accounts say more than your static posts and your feed content, but they do disappear in 24 hours unless you have icons that you save them to. And again, this is like another layer of your social media. And I would say if you have consistent content, if you are posting regular video content and sharing relatable content, and you still want to develop something, then go for stories. But if you're not there yet, focus on those other things that we've talked about. I do like saving stories in little highlight bubbles, and if you catch me at some point, I'll try and find somebody to show you what I mean by those and give you an example. Okay, any more questions before we wrap up? Go ahead.
Would you consider sharing other, so if I see, like, let's say, for example, Breastfeeding Awareness Month, and we are connected with other groups that promote breastfeeding, and we share their content, would you consider that as part of, like, being active?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I would say if you are looking for content, just make sure that 1, it aligns with your practice, and 2, it's not direct competition, unless you want that direct competition. But yeah, if it's like Breastfeeding Awareness Month and somebody is sharing some posts that you think your audience will actively like, then yeah, share it over. And whenever you do share other posts, you can add your own caption to it. So you can say, we've really liked sharing these resources in practice this week. So yeah. Like I said, I have a printout of those QR codes at the front if you want to pick one up, and my business card is down there. If you have any questions, I'm in the exhibitor hall. I would be happy to chat through anything. Thank you for coming. I hope you found it useful. Thank you.